Welcome back to my channel. This is the third in a series of videos about this white oak dresser commission. Right now I'm processing all of the drawer parts for the large white oak Armoire dresser. So these are the fronts, which will be the full width. There'll be a dado on each side, here and here, for the sides that'll come in. Those will be pegged with hand-cut dowels. So I've got a stop block here, because we all know that you never want to have the fence up right against the saw without a stop block so that you get kickback. One side I've already flush cut on my crosscut sled. So I've got this up against the stop block here, and then I'll run it through the saw and I'll get an exact cut. These happen to be at 23 3/4, and that will be a tiny bit less than the space, obviously, because I want to have about a 1/16 inch on each side. I have all my fronts. These are the 8-inch, the 4 8-inch drawers that are on the bottom left and right, so there's 8 fronts. These are all cut to exact size. I've done the same for the sides, which are 17 inches. Here I'm using my dado stack with 3/4 of an inch of blades to cut the slots on the left and right side of each drawer that will take the hardwood runners that will run the drawers. And you'll see this is a very clean cut. I've made sure to make sure the blades are alternating. So this is ready for a slight sanding, and it's on each side. The 8-inch drawers have 3 inches below, and the 6 and 7s have 2 inches below. And you'll see how smooth these cherry hardwood slides run in there. These will get sanded and waxed when ready to be assembled. I've cut all the components for the drawer boxes. This is the front of the maple. There'll be a white oak front panel. I like to make a full drawer box out of maple. So these are cut to length. I've marked left and right. This happens to be the top 6-inch drawer. I've marked where the rabbets are going to be cut using this same 3/4 inch dado stack. This is where the side rails, where I've cut my dados for the hardwood runners. So this dado will accept this. There'll be, again, 3/8 of an inch so that this will fit cleanly into this. I will dowel this into this slight angle, which will keep this really tight and glued up. So there are 2 6-inch drawers, 2 7-inch drawers, and then 8 8-inch drawers. And then also on the drawers themselves, on the sides, there'll be a dado on the inside. I will cut it on the same 3/4 inch dado stack on my table saw. This will accept the back panel of the drawer. This will only be 1/4 inch deep because I don't want that to come in to this piece. I want a thin piece of stock here. This will also be doweled through there. One thing again that's really critical when I'm building a complex project, and this applies to you if you're doing a DIY set of bookshelves or anything, is to take the time to label each individual piece. One additional safety note is that even though I'm not cutting all the way through, there is still the potential for kickback. I'm at the point now where I'm starting to fit the 6-inch, 7-inch, and 4 8-inch shelves on each side. I'm trying to do this in a more production-oriented manner. What I've done is I know that I have a 2-inch gap below the dado on the 6-inch drawer slides. All the others, 7s and 8s, are 3-inch. And I've cut a stop block here of the 2 inches plus 1/16 of an inch. Now on the left side on the top 6-inch drawer, I've marked the 2 inches, which is the height of the dado from the bottom of the drawer. This will indicate the height of the runner, and I've made a stop block so this is very repeatable. Then on an engineer's rule with a stop gauge, I've marked the width of the drawer front. This will tell me how far in the runner can be so that I have a positive stop block on the drawer and it slides and stops evenly. I'll do that on both the left and right side. This is one of the cherry drawer runners. I've used cherry because it is very smooth and less likely to chip out rather than the white oak. It will sand very, very smooth. On my drill press, I've countersunk for screw holes. This will not be glued in so that the cross-grain movement will not be a problem of the side of the case versus the drawer runner. This will last for years with occasional wax. So once I have that in, then I take the drawer and you'll see it moves really beautifully and has a positive stop here. So this distance is exactly what I need for my drawer front. Like many things in woodworking shops, there are a number of ways to accomplish the same goal. So my client has asked that I do a 45-degree chamfer, very light, on all 4 sides of the drawer fronts and of the doors. So my choices were obviously a chamfering bit on a router, table saw at 45 degrees, or my joiner. Now, white oak has a great tendency to tear out. So I pretty much eliminated the 45-degree chamfer bit on my router, even though I have a great Festool router. The problem is when I would be chamfering the ends of the drawers, which is end grain, it's a very high likelihood that no matter how slowly I go, that I could chip out an entire corner. And even though I might be able to recover it when I chamfer the top and bottom, still a big risk. I ran some tests on my joiner, and because I've got a helicoid head, so I've got, I believe it's 64 carbide tip knives running at relatively high speed. I figured that if I run the ends first and then run the sides, I could recover on any chip out. So let me show you how I'm doing this, and this is what I decided was the best approach for this. And again, I ran through all my options on this. Now I'm running the drawer fronts and eventually the doors through my jointer. I've set the fence at 45 degrees and verified it. I've waxed the table to make sure that things slide smoothly. And you'll see that I'm running the ends of this drawer front and the following drawer fronts first. This will mean that if I have the tiniest bit of chip out, that I will be able to mitigate this when I run the sides, the long sides of the drawer fronts and the doors, which run with the grain. And that will take care of any minor chip out and give me an extremely clean corner. You'll see that I'm taking 3 passes with each side, and this means that with a very low depth of cut, probably about a 32nd of an inch, I'm allowing for a very smooth chamfer to be done on all of these parts. This will be followed up by a slight sanding on a very, very hard block. I'll use a block of oak with some 220 grit paper to make sure that the chamfer is smooth, but that I don't round it over. This is exactly what the client and I talked about it, and ended up with a very even and consistent chamfer across all the drawers and the doors, and allowed for me to fit the drawers very easily. So I will run through this process on the two 6-inch drawers, the two 7-inch drawers, and all 8 of the 8-inch drawers, as well as the two large doors. Same process, running end grain first, and then the long side grain, checking the corners, and then touching them up with 220 grit sandpaper, particularly at the corners, so that it'll be very smooth. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. There'll be one final video showing the final assembly and some images at the client location. Please hype the video if you get the opportunity on YouTube, and there'll be one more version coming soon.